All right, we're gonna be going on in 3, 2, 1. Welcome. This is the second episode of Teddy's Tangent Couch Podcast. I have no idea where any of this is gonna really go, or if I'm gonna really stick with this name. Kind of butchered it already. Teddy's Tangent Couch, TTCP, Teddy's Tangent Couch Podcast. Jesus, that's a fucking mouthful.
To be honest, I think it's kind of cute. It could have gone another way, more like a shitty direction, but to be honest, it's short, abrupt, and easy to say.
Hey, did I tell you to start talking yet?
Was good.
It was good. So we are here, with one of my closest buddies, Michael. He just had some free time. He decided to stop by. I was feeling really anxious over me wanting to record something, mainly because of just real honest, just anxiety of being alone with like your own recording. It really is like a somewhat heavy thing to do. It's not hard, but it is heavy, and having somebody to kind of look at, to genuinely talk to, is a huge fucking relief. And I kind of appreciate you more for honestly being comfortable with doing this with me. So thank you for that. To
be honest, being alone, talking to yourself is kind of like being in your own thoughts. Sometimes you just kind of get distracted. You might put it off. You don't even want to talk. And that can be one of the hardest things to do. But having someone here, like Wah,
yeah.
I'm glad that I kind of take out some of that anxiety.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely, like I said, a humbling feeling, because piggybacking off of what you were saying, with it kind of like talking to yourself, it's a little bit more so of you wanting to talk to, like, I guess, whatever you're using to record to, because you get the sense of, well, this is going to go on internet world, not nobody's gonna be, listening to it. There's gonna be people eventually, like, hearing whatever we're saying, but I guess it's that idea that eventually people are gonna be listening is what's somewhat spooky, because it's exciting, and it is somewhat like, guess you could say scary too, though.
You could say scary, but in a way it's kind of like opening your window.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you cover it with dark covers or curtains and you don't let any light in. What you're doing right now is you're kind of opening the window for people to look in.
Yeah.
But you're not giving them the full view of the house. You're just letting them see a small portion. So, really all you're doing is just letting the light in, kind of clearing out some of the air, letting everything breathe, air out. Just makes it feel more natural.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and it's basically what I meant too by being able to actually have a guest and talk to somebody.
Sorry, we're joking about this, but we're dying in the heat, low key.
Okay, so I didn't want to really mention it, but yeah, my fucking room right now is a huge sauna. It's not shit living conditions, but it's the typical college dorm room kind of thing, but not the dorm room. You just don't have an AC, and it's like 100 degrees outside. Well, other than that, it's a pretty solid it's a solid thing to be in. So we're not doing much other than dying in this room sauna. So what better thing to do is document our deaths before we melt.
For real. And we got someone kind of chunked out, but
chunked out.
Let's talk about Cheech.
Cheech. Okay, what about Cheech? Cheech is my dog, by the way.
Cheech has been here, just chilling, just taking in all the heat.
Shout out to all the dogs out there.
So excited to see me, because it has been a hot minute since I've been here.
Yeah, no, it's been a while. That's why it's what makes this even more special to me.
And I'm glad that I can make this count just by doing little things here and there. Like previously, before we even started talking and starting this conversation, we were thrift shopping, having a little adventure. We even walked to another store. Yeah, we were
on a date. I wanted to do some naughty things, but didn't get that opportunity.
Not yet. No.
Not yet. Oh, okay. We just gotta work a little bit harder then.
Yeah, for real. High standards, man. High standards.
There you go. Make sure you guys keep that in mind. You guys got to keep your standards high, regardless of who you're dealing with. No matter how they make you feel, keep those standards high.
So there was something that I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Kind of like just refreshing an idea of your anxiety.
Okay.
What's been like holding you back from just letting out a lot of these like personal thoughts? Because I assume it's not just the idea of like people appearing into your mind or whatever. Because you seem awfully like driven, ambitious. You even have some charismatic goals that you're allowed to tell people.
Thank you.
And you allow yourself to tell people. So I kind of want to wonder what else is kind of like restricting you.
Okay, so if I am going to be completely honest, it's just more so of the really rough like starting YouTube thing, because growing up, I like you were aware like of the content creators that I was looking at. They all had like some type of ego persona. They had a niche going on that they started or they made a trend. Like they paved their own way by doing very unique, very outlandish things. And not that I'm trying to copy or anything, because it's not about like whether if somebody copied another person, because no idea is original, and that's something that everybody's gonna have to deal with eventually. There'll never be an original idea, but it doesn't mean that you can't either elaborate or put your own like personal twist on something else. There's this there's this one content creator especially, and it's not just because his avatar is a cosmic turtle, but Exerbia is one of the YouTubers that I've been paying attention to for about a year or two now. He's an extremely talented and well spoken writer in my opinion. He doesn't think so, whether if that's a joke or not. But on his second channel, he made a small little series about creativity. I totally forgot what it was called. It was like creativeology or maybe something like that. Catastrophe something. It was like a play on word with being creative and something with catastrophe, I guess.
Yeah, I get it.
But there's 3 episodes, and in the first episode is just basically him sort of saying like, get out of your own head, whatever you think you got going on and what's stopping you, it's not. What you have to do is just take that leap and essentially go balls deep. And my anxiety stemming from starting this whole YouTube shit and wanting to have not an ego but more so a unique entrance on it is what was kind of pulling me back, because I am a pretty raw person. Like you know the person that I am.
I mean, yeah, like I've never seen anyone raw dog their phone like you have.
Fuck, I'm not getting a case. Yeah, no, like not even a week. This is gonna be a quick sidebar, but my phone was extremely cracked. I don't know how. I mean I dropped it obviously, but like it got so fucked, and I ended up getting it repaired, and a week, like maybe not even a week, but a week or so after I
He had a
got
little
it.
oopsie.
Yeah, I had a straight oopsie. I broke it. I mean, not broke it. I already
just
cracked
flung it at me, thinking like.
I thought he could catch it, man. No, I should have thought he could catch it. Michael has like 6 arms. You guys can't see it because you're on audio, but this guy has 6 arms, a neck thicker than the wide necks, and not to mention the most crimsons of chins that any man could ever wish they had.
And to be honest, I strive for those goals. Thank you.
Yes.
I really appreciate that.
Yes, he's an extremely beautiful man. You guys could only wish you could see this.
Oh man. But anyways, stemming from that sidebar, I kind of wanted to repeat what you were saying about that YouTuber. His name was Exorbia?
Exerbia.
Exerbia.
Yeah, Exerbia, but instead of an I at the end, it's a 1.
Alright.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you were saying that you love the outlandish things that they did, for some reason I kept thinking about the similar artists that we were following. Not just artists, but YouTubers, content creators.
Right.
How kind of down to earth and kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not quite humble, but kind of just like,
Yeah, it is almost like humble beginnings.
like a homemade kind of feel.
Yeah.
Everything was like so simple, not too complex.
Yeah, that was early YouTube, yeah.
Yeah. That's the stuff that we all strive for.
Yeah, so...
We all live for.
So, I essentially want to bring that back, but at the same time, I guess I have this stupid idea that I have to be funny, even though comedy is extremely subjective, and whatever I may think is funny, another person might find offensive, which makes it more funny to me. No. But the point is that I am insecure. I have like this really weird like self-image of me wanting to have this channel, put this character on there, even though it's still going to be me, except I'm calling myself Teddy, and I'm just going to be talking and doing shit. But how's that any different than Filthy Frank? You know, going on his weeaboo tangents and other online shit, but the only difference is that he did make it funny because he put a whole storyline behind it. He based everything off of his multiverse lore and stuff. Where
yeah, but one thing that I want to hit you on is like, what do you want Teddy to be? Do you want Teddy to be yourself or a character that you create? Because Papa Franku wasn't just, you know, Joji or George Miller. It was something that he had envisioned and created for the purpose of creating that universe.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with Teddy?
Well, technically, and I don't want to be one of those fucking assholes that's just like, well, actually, but no, technically, Filthy Frank was created to be the embodiment of everything disgusting and vile of that a human being is like not able, or I mean, that shouldn't be able to like be. So his personification of that is essentially to be like, yo, this is how disgusting we're able to be. So just look at that and don't try to be like that. He even says in somewhere, I'm not sure if it's the YouTube description or whatever, but he even says like, yeah, no, this is like, don't even try to like resonate with this character because that's a bad thing. Like don't like say that this character is relatable, because if you do, that's a no. Like, shame on you for that. So I don't want that for Teddy, where people can look at me and me kind of be like either a crybaby, edgy as hell, or try and pull a Leafy where I make fun of retarded kids or something. But it's just more so of like, yeah, taking my raw raw emotions, my raw personality, but then trying to morph that into a somewhat mutation with my comedy. And I don't have any like real comedy yet. Like I'm essentially just at a writer's block, really, which is why I'm like so adamant about the podcast right now. Is just because I need to distract myself. I need to just get my mind, and I need to put it somewhere else aside from wanting to make this series, because there's this little video that I hinted to you at called Barbecue Brownies. I had no idea like the concept of it, but it is an inspiration of the Cake series. But again, that was a huge production where they had these other people with very, you know, amazing personalities and resources to exactly their own audiences too, to help support those videos. And I'm just some kid, but those people were just some kid too. Like Max Mofo started his shit off opening up used condom mail, and IDub, same thing with Coyote urine. I don't think Frank ever really opened shit up, but you get the point. Like, and I know this is just in the small group of that edgy content, but like, it's just kind of where that whole like humor side comes in, where the other people that I watch, like Duncan Trussell or Zerbia, like I mentioned, even some of the cooking shit,
Binging?
you really not, oh yeah, Binging's a really good channel, but no, I was gonna say you really suck at cooking. Like his stuff is probably one of the funniest like takes on culinary videos that I've ever fucking seen. To just call out people to being shit in the kitchen and using their own excuses that they use to not make the food to make it. And it's just a really good twist, and it's just like, yeah, no, this is essentially what college cooking is. So it's a relatable take, and I'm not saying I want to be relatable. I feel like the more relatable you try to be, the more you drift away from that, like, you know, image, because it's just like, well, are you forcing this, like are you just projecting this, like, event that could have happened to other people but didn't happen to you, but because it happened to other people, you're trying to just put that out there, like saying, hey, look, this might resonate with you or some shit. So it's like, no, this is essentially like spiritual clickbait, where,
It is.
yeah,
Because where you're kind of pushing something into someone's soul that they don't quite resonate with
mm-hmm.
and expecting them to like it is kind of setting yourself up for failure, in the sense that you kind of want everything to be genuine,
yeah,
to true to yourself,
yeah,
and to appeal to your own kind of fan base.
yeah, and I also want to make it entertaining.
Yeah, you don't want to grab people from different fan bases and have them come and go and just feel like, yeah, this guy's just kind of like a sellout or something.
A little bit, yeah. So that was the weird part, because I have a really bad habit of seeing things in the sense of these are communities. Like, you have this edgy community on YouTube, or this cancel community on Twitter and shit, and there's all this other shit like grouping people, and it's just like, well, instead of us grouping each other into these subcategories that are based off of these other like YouTube celebrities essentially, it, it's it is really discouraging sometimes, because it's just like, well, if I try to do this type of content, then I'm just gonna get called out as either a clone, I'm gonna get called out as a wannabe, a tryhard, or if it's not like up to a certain level, then it's just trash overall. But it's just like, all that it doesn't matter in my opinion. Like they can say all of that, but the thing that I honestly want to do is just make the shit. The thing that I'm struggling with right now though is just that creative block. Like it's really funny, because the guy that took over the whole lore for Filthy Frank when he made the Filthy Frank TV2 channel,
Yeah.
he even had a creative block where he wasn't even sure on where he would go with it after he made, I forgot what video. I think it was the I Hate Filthy Frank clones or something. But after that, I think he went on a little hiatus for like 2 or 3 months, and then he just came back and dropped this really dope music video, and like from one of Pink Eye's songs, Help. So I was just like, damn, all right, well, reasonable to take that long on a production. And people really don't understand how much like production and planning it does take to put into some videos. So I can understand how a music video can take at least 3 months, when it took Oliver Tree like, you know, a year plus to make a music video of his too. Because I heard him talking about that on the H3 podcast, where he was like, it took him like maybe a couple months to learn these tricks on a water ski, and then another a couple months to like you know those water jet packs. Yeah. He learned how to ride one of those, but there's this really dope trick that you can walk on water with them, and he did all that shit. But he was like, yeah, nah, it was actually a bit more complicated than, you know, you actually would think.
Real quick, explain who Oliver Tree is, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't know who that is, and they're thinking it's some kind of like weird hippie dude.
A weird hippie dude? Yeah, no, it's essentially a hippie with a bowl cut.
Woo!
No, Oliver Tree to me, like, if you're asking me who I think Oliver Tree is, I think Oliver Tree is the next Kanye, probably.
Wow.
Like everybody wants to shit on him for having like repetitive lyrics, or having this try hard image, or however you want to spin how he promotes his music or character. But the one thing that you can't shit on him for is the fact that he's doing it. The fact that this guy is putting himself in this character regardless of the reactions that he's getting and the potential backlash that he, could get too. Because with cancel culture as high as it's ever been, it's a scary thing to try and be a character, commit to that character, and then maybe even behave in ways that that character would behave in contradiction to who you actually are or what society deems is acceptable. So I'm not saying like Oliver Tree is a character or not, or if Oliver Tree is like, something that should be considered, like, I guess you could say like maybe like family friendly or some shit. But like,
Yeah.
in a way, like none of us are ever family friendly. We all have our adult sides because we are adults. Like, told somebody else before, like trying to pin yourself in this kid-friendly content kind of ring so fucking limiting to like what you're able to do creatively, because kids aren't going to understand what you're going to want to do, and whatever you want to do is going to either not rub like executives the right way, or it's not going to rub parents the right way, and then of course that just that'll trickle to like a bunch of other shit. So it's just like when you're committing to that type of character, you don't know if like 5-10 years down the line people are gonna take your clips, like when Oliver was flipping the hell out with Anthony Fantano, and he was like, fuck this shit, I'm done, like I'm tired of this interview, whatever else. But people who don't know Oliver or Anthony, you could just see that as a really, really heated interaction, which it really was. But
I say otherwise.
I don't know. He gave him a 7, man. I think that was just to put salt in the wounds.
It was. It's just basically two big boys memeing. Like, Melonhead, right?
But like, doesn't that like discredit Anthony though? If he's giving a rate to continue like a meme, because
not quite, because in his review, if you watched it, he right away said that this was a meme. I'm not saying his music is terrible. The music is, in his opinion, not the best. And he could have like shitted on it. He shitted on Kendrick Lamar, like hardcore.
No, and he still shitted on Oliver. He still brought up the whole repetitiveness and.
But how, he doesn't hate them. He doesn't.
No, I'm not saying that.
Their music.
No, I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying that if he would have like stuck to that concept of like, well, because Oliver wanted to do an anti-interview and like not give out like real answers to like these like real questions or whatever, then that means that whatever Anthony wants to do, like either after or during, not after or during, like the score, then he's gonna be a little bit in that gray area of like, well, did he get paid to continue the shtick, or is this still within character, but it is the honest review? That's why I'm like, it gets iffy on if it's for the meme and he's doing it for Oliver's image, then
actually,
it's not too much of a fair review.
This kind of brings another point that you were actually talking about to me, was when he said he was done with the Oliver Tree and all projects with referring to him.
Right. Yeah,
the possibility that he might come out as Ricky is kind of interesting. Oh, because in a way he's building up his not quite history, but his own universe around his characters.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So those who haven't listened to the album, his second song, 1992. 1992. I think it was. He features an artist called Little Ricky ZR3, and there's a really distinct similarity in both of their voices, especially if you pitch up the voice on Little Ricky. And this is really the only evidence that you have of it, other than like a little bit of a clip from the H3 podcast where Oliver Tree is talking very highly and like putting Little Ricky on this pedestal. So people are just saying that because he's saying that this is going to be his last album / appearance or whatever as Oliver Tree with music. it doesn't look like he's leaving music entirely, but just more so the fact that he's leaving Oliver Tree. So it's the fact that people are speculating that he's gonna come back as ZR, or I mean as Little Ricky, and he's gonna continue with there. For those who don't know either, way before he was even Oliver Tree, he was also an artist called Tree, and this was like, you know, six years ago or whatever, where he put out this EP called Splitting Branches. I know I'm just fucking fanboying at this point because I really love this man's music. Like,
Yeah.
the music fucking industry really did him so damn dirty. The fact that he was forced to fucking put out music that he didn't want to put out just for the sake to try and release the postponed album, it's so unfair because it's essentially them seeing the potential in him but not respecting that potential, and he I feel like he does deserve that respect. Like, I know a little bit exaggerative that he would be the next Kanye or something, but like Oliver Tree, to me, I honestly consider him a very high option to paving a new way in music.
You know, that's really respectable because you seeing him as a role model is kind of influencing you on creating your Teddy character.
In a way.
Especially when you're looking back at the anxiety that was kind of stopping you from just going all the way in. You being worried about, cancel culture and
Right.
Twitter, YouTube, putting names on who you are or who you're going to be.
Right.
All
it's
that
a lot
can
of
be
pressure.
so much weight on your back.
Yeah.
And you being able to lift that up, push it away, and just kind of be like, hey, these other artists, these other content creators are paving their own way. And I really respect that.
Thank you.
And you, looking forward, I think you really have a lot of potential.
Okay.
No, seriously.
Okay.
Because, just me living in this little ass city called Joliet, it kind of like suffocates you in this false sense of reality that is this home. It never felt like home here. And that's why I feel like a lot of people in this town are just kind of breaking away from the mold. They want to get out of here.
To be fair, the people that live around here are also just mostly drug addicts. So like they're either breaking away or breaking into cars or some shit.
For real.
Like, I don't know, the environment I'm in right now, because I'm not from here. I'm from the West Coast. I'm not gonna say where, but like coming from the West
France,
Coast.
you
God.
tend to learn a couple things.
From the West Coast of France, Chocolat Bleu.
Hell yeah, dude.
But coming from the West Coast, where everybody has such a surreal vibe that you can just kind of walk around, you can go on the street and just see people, and they'll wave at you. Like people are pretty nice around the West Coast. Just not around the South, in my opinion, but like generally where I was at, it was pretty like nice. So you get that, you get a lot of sun too, and you move from that, as a kid, because I was like 11, down to the Midwest, where it's just cold, dark, mostly humid, hardly any like spirit, and you go outside and you try to wave at somebody and they pull a gun on you. And like nobody actually pulled a gun on me, but it's like figuratively, like they'll just give you a look like they'd rather shoot you than say hi. So it's like,
you know what? I get that feeling.
It's like I've gotten to a point after these 9+ years of living in the Midwest that I just shouldn't be here anymore. And this isn't real advice, but this is just more so of me being a fucking hippie too. But I've gotten laid off from enough jobs like within this time recently, because I've been able to keep jobs before, but as of late, I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or just morality and people just get more picky with employees or something, but I kind of haven't been able to keep a job, and on me saying that's not really me having that as a cop out. I'm like, oh, if I can't have a job, or I mean, if I'm not able to keep a job, then I'm just gonna go to YouTube. And that's not the case. It's just I I don't feel comfortable just having that 9 to 5 or feeling creatively restricted because it's just hurtful. It's like trying to be a bird, but they pulled your feathers. Like how can you try to fly if people are like intentionally like damaging your creativity? And I'm not saying that the jobs I had were doing that, but it's more so of again the environment, the energy that's within the certain communities that I had to go to work at and stuff. It was all like it was all really heavy, really. So trying to like pave my own way, create my own style, whatever that is. Having the spitball talk right now, just getting everything really just off my fucking chest. It is a big relief, but at the same time, it's like it doesn't stop here. We're gonna have to keep talking. We're gonna have to keep finding people to talk to and making more episodes, making barbecue brownies and playing Deadly Twister. You know,
Ooh.
it's like having the ability to want to strive, and then and then the will to seek it out is sometimes difficult, but it's not like impossible to obtain.
No, it never is. Because where you're coming from, I get that a lot. A lot of people have this like negative sense of
Like stuckness. They think because they've been there for so long that they need to have like a set schedule and stuff.
An outlet.
Yeah, some type of outlet.
Whatever reason.
Maybe they're just lazy, or they just get brainwashed into thinking that they can't do shit themselves, or that they just got told enough that damn they suck at something, or this is, you know what? Hold up. Okay, so then this is gonna be like some mommy issue type stuff, but not really. It's more funny than anything. But I remember growing up, I used to joke around a lot about being like a TV reporter, being a stand-up comic too, because I loved watching Comedy Central, watching the old Def what was it, like Def Jam or some shit, like that stuff. Just stand up. Some like I remember watching early Daniel Tosh stand up. That stuff was pretty funny stuff. I remember
You ever watch Saturday Night Live?
Honestly, I don't. Saturday Night Live, I'm like on and off with, and I'm not recently, but back when it was actually relevant, somewhat. Yeah, I'd like flip to it sometimes, but I mainly stayed around the more edgy stuff because I honestly just found Saturday Night Live like just
kind of cheesy or
manufactured. Yes, cheesy, too scripted, really, too scripted. Like
some of it was like once in a while you get like some really
like some
good
improv
hitters.
Stuff. Yeah. You can tell the ones who improved and the ones who didn't, and yeah, like bless those people. But the joke that I remember is Daniel was just complaining about autofill because I think it was during when Google was starting to implement their new like smart technology where you'll type in the words and then it'll fill in your search, like are you searching for like this. So he was like, well, I get sick and tired of this Google search history saving all my shit because as soon as I go to press an A, the first thing that pops up is Asian ass porn, and like some other shit. Like the joke's vague to me right now, but his huge emphasis and punchline was just, I'm jerking it in this story. Like he just wants so much emphasis that he's just masturbating, and I'm just like, yeah, that's actually some really funny shit, but you're forcing it so much. Well, that's the thing though, is because he's on an entirely different type of platform where if he's forcing it there and he's not batting an eye, then what do I have to be afraid of just talking into a mic, you know?
Yeah.
And not in front of an audience. So.
Because if you ever remember, like, he had an audience, but he also did pre-recorded shows.
Yeah.
So his platforms range from entertaining live audience, which for any comedian is a feat.
Mm-hmm.
And also being able to connect with people at their home where they feel safest, where they're, you know, if they feel pretty confident to put some edgy shit like Comedy Central on, then, you know, he should feel comfortable too. And I think you being comfortable with the internet is a very safe thing for the simple reason that the internet isn't innocent.
No,
never has been, probably never will.
No, it will never build. As hard as they fucking try to scrub all the fucking internet shit, there will forever be 4chan. There will forever be Best Gore, crazyshit.com, and was it Goatsy, fucking whatever else is there. There will forever be the Wayback Machine to take you back to the shit that they try to take down.
Yeah.
Like, it's true what they say. Whatever's on the internet stays on the internet. And with me putting whatever I want to put out there is going to be a part of that legacy, whatever it is. And I don't give a shit about starting a legacy. It annoys me a bit that I have to say that, but ultimately that is sort of what we want, though. It's like it is a nice thing to feel remembered, but it's another thing to earn that remembrance.
And honestly, I wanted to ask you about this because I asked one of my friends the same thing, and I want to know what you would feel comfortable leaving behind. What kind of like carbon footprint do you want to leave? Because for whatever reason, I used to think like not that many people cared about leaving things behind until I realized how much they regret it, or people around them regret it. And I want to know, if are you affected by the people around you feeling like maybe you should have left more?
Do you mean regrets as in that they didn't do much, or that they didn't take the chances? Like, what do you mean like
regrets on the person themselves that decided to leave like a very light footprint,
like their passions or something?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Would you have any regret?
Regrets on what I didn't leave?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, regardless of the footprint we leave, we are leaving some type of footprint. Whether if you're the grocery lady that's 90 whatever years old, and when you go to bed that night you're gonna have a stroke or some shit. The last person that you checked out that day will forever have that vague memory of the sweet lady that gave them their change, or probably even told them like, yeah, don't worry about those like 13 cents, and that made his day entirely. She'll never know that, but that'll be her footprint. And even more so, she was a mother. She could have been a wife. She could have, done so much other shit, and those are part of her footprints too. So I feel like it's a bit of a little bit of a cop out to try and think that you'd leave one big footprint, because no matter what we have, yeah, those flies are bugging me too, but the accumulation of all these footprints essentially do add up to one big footprint. So with every indirect/direct interaction you have with another person, they will always have that imprint of whatever you are. So when it applies, or when I were to apply it to me, and what I would want to leave behind, I think that one of the things that I would really enjoy leaving is definitely a piece of land that I can hopefully turn into a reserve, like whether if it's a turtle reserve or a bear reserve, something for nature, a chihuahua reserve. Woo! Jesus, yeah, no, it's where we're gonna shove all the fucking rats and shit. Anything that's less than 2 pounds is considered a chihuahua. I don't care.
Yes, I accept those rules.
Yeah. But you alright?
Yeah.
Alright. Well, I think I definitely want to do something nature related. like footprint wise, I definitely want to give back to the earth. I don't, like not in a mean way, but kind of fuck us, fuck people right now. We don't
Yeah, we don't really care about what's happening.
Not so much that we don't care. I think we care. We care a lot. We just don't care enough, and we don't appreciate it, and what we're doing right now or what we're trying to do. Like, I'm not sure if it was true or not, but shout out to Trump in all honesty, and that's just because I seen this one thing where he signed this one act or law giving some type of allowance to cleaning the oceans, where they're gonna get like I think 10 million or something dollars like every year to help clean the ocean, and that's like one of the biggest steps that we can do is starting to attack, whatever we've been polluting into that water. And as much as I think that it's a little bit grasping at straws right now because of how bad it is right now, realistically speaking, if it starts now and we're consistent with whatever they do, then it will definitely put in a chip in whatever, because people fail to realize that we actually get more of our oxygen from the ocean than we do trees. And it tripped me the hell out when I first learned that. And the fact that one of the most polluted areas in the world is our oceans due to our emissions, oils, like actual pollution, like debris and stuff, it all has a factor in how it affects us and our way of living. Like, imagine if our oceans were clean, like just completely straight, like we got the world's fucking biggest cauldron, okay? And we just shoveled the fuck out of the bottom of the ocean so many times until we got all that we could out, and then we started fresh. I think that the byproduct of having a clean ocean would be happier people, because our water comes from there, doesn't it? Like, most of our waters and tap and stuff would have a indirect impact on how we are. Like, I don't like I don't know if how you feel about it, but I would feel a lot happier and more comfortable if our tap water was clean enough that we didn't need to go out and buy water, like in New Zealand or Denmark and stuff, where their water is like so good that they drink from the tap.
The sad thing about that is a lot of us, especially in the poor folks in Michigan, that still don't even have clean water.
Yeah, and
there are a lot of things holding us back.
Yeah.
Whether it be people, government, money, anything to necessarily put us in the right direction that we should be for our fellow men is kind of undermining this whole healing process. Everything that we try and do is just like we're basically rubbing an infection in all our wounds. We're not cleaning everything up. We're not fixing anything. We're not stitching up places that need to be fixed. Yeah. We're just letting things get out of hand, and when we do something about it, it's kind of like just wiping away the mucus.
Yeah.
Like, you can't keep a clean wound if all you're doing is just poking at it.
Right.
And I really agree with your sentiment on we are not doing enough.
Yeah.
People don't care. People do care. It's just there's not enough action and not enough necessarily easy way to go about it. So that's kind of the position that I'm holding right now. Is it's tough.
It is, yes. One of the more like amusing things when it comes to the ocean is the fact that I have this little idea that I think that we're maybe just too afraid of the ocean too to want to clean it, because we haven't even documented like what, more than 5 or 10% of the ocean, like as far as the bottom floor that we could have gotten in some regions. And we're trying to fucking go into space and start a space force or whatever. It's like, I think somebody in politics probably took that alien invasion meme about 2020 a bit too serious, and they're like, bro, we need a space force. We need to get Elon or something, and just straight start stacking up on this cosmic shit. But when it but it's like, why not start home, you know, like start at home, start where you can go, and that's go down, essentially, like go in the waters. And the amount of research that we can obtain by having a higher marine study, I feel like would benefit us too, because with the amount of sea life that's down there, honestly could probably provide even more food sources. That way we don't have to like rely so much on red meat and stuff, which is another huge factor on our pollutions with the mass slaughterhouses just putting out nothing but the emissions and shit from the cows themselves. Like, as much as we love our meats, we do have to accept that we don't need to be eating them. And that's not me saying that like, oh, I'm gonna be a vegetarian or vegan. Nah, dude, I love my fucking ribs. I love my steaks and shit. So I'm just saying that we just have to be more responsible with how we consume. And if that starts with finding at least, you know, more of a variety to allow there to be a lesser haul on the red meat department, then that'll be more beneficial, because then we'll have more healthier stuff, or potentially healthier stuff, like, you know, whiter meats or leaner meats that come from the oceans, or maybe promoting more game hunting. Like, I agree with Joe Rogan here, where one of his podcasts, he straight up just says, like, if the whole world could like hunt and process their own like animals, we wouldn't be able to survive or sustain off of that, because we'd all just be constantly, you know, hunting. And not to mention that there are going to be those fucking assholes that are just going to be hunting their more than their fair share, and then trying to capitalize off of that and be like, well, I got $5 because they were all in the same area, so I just sprayed on them. But I have all this meat that's a bit too much, so I'm not going to give it up for free. However, if you have something of equal value or something that I want, then let's work something out. And it's just like, well, that's fair but not fair. And it definitely bites into the whole natural and nature aspect of them being able to reproduce and whatever else. Because we like, for cows, we have two different types of meat for them. We have like adult cows for burgers, for chucks, for ribs, for whatever else, for like the regular barbecue shit. But then we eat veal too. Like, we eat baby cows, like specifically baby cows, for the sake of them not having, you know, worked out muscles, that they're fresh, that they just keep them alive for like, what, a month or two or something like that, just so their body develops enough to
digest.
To digest foods, and then they'll like slaughter it. So I don't see any problem in us trying to figure out a way to eat like other meats. Like, I'm not saying like we should be out there eating dolphins or some shit, or hunting orcas or something like that, but maybe if we put in a little bit more resource into marine study, then we might come across some like trippy shit, because there's a lot to fucking look down there, and I can't even probably see. I don't know how you were with 4chan back then, but there was this other this other channel. Totally don't know how to pronounce its name, but like, shout out to you. They essentially get Google text to speech, and they type out all of these 4chan stories, and then they post them up. So there's this channel that has two of these videos where they're called like deep sea 4chan stories, and then another one is more deep sea stories. And on the first one, it's like so trippy, because essentially it talks about this one dude who went down into a dive, because I think it was work related, and then he was doing some shit, and at the corner of his eye he sees this person, and he doesn't realize that his equipment is starting to fail on him or some shit, and he sees that person, and it turns out it's his father that died, and he had like some unresolved like emotion going on. So there was just like a trippy moment where he's thinking that his dad's alive, but his dad's trying to like point at his regulator, like saying, "Yo, you're about to die," and everybody was blaming that on either this one condition called um I think it's hydrohysteria or something like that maybe, but it's basically just like underwater mirages, like essentially that it's underwater mirages, and other people were saying like, nah, that was like a water spirit or some shit, like that was like some otherworldly shit under the water that was like helping you to like save your ass. And then there was another story about this diving instructor who was like, "Yo, we are at like the trench right now, and if you look at that edge, you can go like deep, like it goes the deepest that we could ever go, but because we only have our suits and stuff, we can only go so far in." So the dude has this one student who just looks down and he gets excited about it because he's like, well, there's only two ways that people respond to looking at the emptiness that's the bottom of the ocean, really, and that's either out of straight fear or just like, oh, that's like, can we like going deeper or some shit. This other dude just took it upon himself to just jump off the edge of whatever trench they were at and just kept swimming down. And then the instructor tried to swim after him, but he swam so far and so fast that he couldn't keep up with them. And then when they all like rose back up to the surface, they never found him. They never even recovered the body after that. So whoever he is, like, if it is a true story or not, it's a lot of food for thought too, because it's just like, well, imagine there being like some type of civilization so far down that it is like another world, like maybe Atlantis is real or some shit. Like, I don't know, like there's so much mythology and even cryptics that
hint at these sort of things.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like thinking about the megalodon or kraken, like Cthulhu, who because that boy is supposedly set to live in the Pacific Ocean. So no matter how you look at it, there's just so much shit that can point at something bigger. And it's no different than people looking at the Bible and going like, yo, this thing's fucking huge, but like, where's your proof to it, right? People get so offended, like, well, where's your proof of God? Where, you have this book, but who the fuck wrote that book? Like, the dude who published the book or whatever isn't the one who like made the commandments or whatever. Like, they're just like a carrier that's refreshing it, really. And even then, that there was like passages where Jesus's image was like completely changed because during the World War, like, yeah, during World War II, there Bibles before then described him as having like dark skin, curly hair, and dark eyes. And during World War II, because of the ideology and nihilism that the Nazis had, they put that white image on Jesus to have that resonate with whatever the fuck that they were trying to push as a weapon to, like, possess people more. So, and then they were like, yeah, no, he like Jesus is a white dude with blue eyes and brown hair or whatever. So it's like,
it's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, isn't it?
When you think about it, all these kind of religions and kind of cryptic stories all have something relatable. And
yeah. Somebody had to have seen them or experienced something in order to speak on it.
And one of the most promising things that I've seen as proof for any kind of sort of religion, and I'm just talking about these two specifically,
okay,
but Greek and Christianity have one thing in common: a great flood that devastated a population.
Right, yeah.
God's wrath, in terms of Zeus, or God, as the monolithic, vision that everyone foresee him as in Christianity.
Yeah, and then it's the divine power and shit.
They both said people fucked around with the wrong beings.
Right.
Created something, and there had to be a wipeout. In Christianity, one thing that people did was they fooled around with angels, made these half angel, half human giant abominations that God did not want.
Yeah, it was,
so
that part of the Bible is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Imagine an angel coming down
Woo!
for his routine check. It's like, all right, Joseph, check out David, Abraham, and whatever, and Noah, that piece of shit, and then some villager comes and like, damn, ma, flap them wings for me. And it's just like, what the fuck? Imagine clapping some angel cheeks, bro.
I mean, yeah, that was the story back then.
That's why they call it angel dust, because that shit comes off the wings when you clap them.
And then in the Greek mythos, Zeus got pissed off at the people for not only learning how to manipulate fire, but also fooling around with these
animals too, right?
Not quite animals, but these like satyrs and like these other mythical beings, and creating these things called Nephilim.
What are Nephilims? Like
Nephilims are
those
like
hybrids?
partial blood, like hybrids of like divine beings and demonic beings.
So then Zeus just started sleeping with everybody's wife.
Like Zeus was no fucking innocent bystander. Like he made plenty of demigods.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Zeus is a low-key hypocrite
apocalypses, but in the end, he still made his own version.
Yeah.
Which was the flood. And one thing that I wanted to draw a kind of comparison on was, Noah survived the flood. We found, pieces of an ark?
Yeah, supposedly we had pieces of an ark. I think somewhere in Africa I think it's Africa, but in Africa they have like a piece of like the Ark of the Covenant or something like that. Something Covenant.
The Ark of the Covenant is like a box.
Like a box.
It was a weapon.
Used
in ancient times.
The war of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean weapon of mass destruction. Yeah. So thank you. But yeah, there's like another part with this biblical shit that this temple in Africa, I believe, has it, but like people have guarded it their entire lives without going into that room for 1 second, and they don't even know if it really is in there, but they've devoted their entire like essence into protecting that sacred story and image, and respect to them, but like I don't know, I feel like it really is a huge discipline to like go through your entire life like that and then just not be a little bit curious. Like from what they say, not even they themselves get to look at it or some shit, but like I kind of think that's horseshit. Like I feel like that there probably might have to be like some type of ceremony or shit in order to enter the room maybe, but like
they're not going to give away their secrets.
Well, of course not. What if... Okay, so hear me out. What if that fucking box is broken? What if they do have it, but it's so fucking old now, and it's so like worn out that it's not even gonna fucking work. Like they didn't even really mention anything, or there isn't really any real like hint at what it's able to do, just so much of the fact that it'll cause a bunch of shit to happen. But it's like,
no.
What if it has like a session expired kind of thing where it was only activated through like a god's power, and then because of all of our evolution and stuff, like they just kind of left it alone because like, nah, these niggas made nuclear bombs, they don't need this fucking thing, they can do it all themselves.
For real though.
What do you think?
From the stories I've heard, they never truly opened the box when they used it for mass destruction. All they had to do was kind of like open a corner.
Oh, okay.
And whatever they said, or in the kind of like the scriptures written,
this is even my full power.
They said that there was a blinding light, and like things disappeared in that blinding light. They don't know what it was. They don't know how they used it, but all they know is they just had to crack open the box and shit was gone. Now, there's a rumor from the Greek mythos that it could be Pandora's box.
Right.
Someone must have opened it, caused a lot of shit to happen with, I guess, the idea of hope also escaping.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you heard that story before, right?
Oh,
When
which one?
When the girl opened the box,
Oh,
she got
like Pandora
gifted.
story?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. I
She
know
got
Pandora.
gifted the box. She opened it because she really wasn't supposed to open it. They told her, keep it safe, don't open it.
Oh,
Bad things will happen.
I thought it was the dude that got it. Like she was protecting it, but then she left it with somebody else, and that person opened it.
No, her own curiosity.
Oh, her own Oh, okay. Then yeah, no, it's been a minute since I've seen it, so thank you for the refresher.
With her own curiosity, she opened the box thinking there might have been some sort of treasure, some sort of like divine essence that she could obtain.
Right.
Or just out of pure curiosity, what could it be
human
that they
curiosity.
entrusted her? Yeah, and they entrusted that gift to her, and she opened it, and all these things came out: death, strife, plague, whatever you want to call it, all these negative things, and they couldn't stop it. It was just like a geyser of just like corruption erupting from that box.
Yeah. Okay.
And the one thing that also escaped the box was hope. Now, I don't know what this means in every story, but every now and then when I hear someone preach about the Bible, talk about, different factions, even different religions like Greek mythos, the Roman mythos, how similar it is.
Right. Yeah, they are really fucking similar. They are both polytheists. They both have like almost similar technologies. They were both really good at war. They their political system was actually pretty decent. Like they managed their trades very well, and they made roads and shit. It was the Romans that made their water system, right? Or
irrigation.
The irrigation systems. Yeah, so like they both had a lot of shit coming, like I mean going for them, and it's just like where the fuck could they gotten that information or like looked at like these rocks and stones and think like, hey, if I carve it in this U shape and I don't get rid of the walls, it'll create a type of slide, and with that slide it can transfer liquids, and with those liquids we don't have to travel across like however many miles to get water for us. Instead we can have the water come to us and shit.
Yeah, so the three things that they were excellent at making was building roads,
right,
harvesting salt, and creating batteries.
How do you harvest salts?
Basically going to like an open body of water,
especially
salt water, and just being able to separate the salt molecules into like much like how they grow this candy that we got earlier, this rock candy.
Oh, rock candy. Okay, so then because I thought that they just boiled the fuck out of the water until they got like salt out of it or something.
Like that takes like a long time, but with the process that they use, grabbing a lot of mineral deposits, boiling it down, and then collecting it all into this like tight little hemisphere with some sort of sift.
Okay.
They were able to crystallize the salts together.
Yeah.
And shake out all the dirt, grit, and whatever sand that was in there.
Oh, okay.
And they were able to carry so much salt, harvest so much salt. That they were able to trade with everyone.
It's the same thing with basically with us right now with oil and fossil fuels. It's whoever's able to pump it out the quickest gets the better buck,
Yeah, and it's true for every place. Istanbul, you know that place, right?
Which one?
Istanbul.
The name sounds familiar, but no, I'm not like too into world affairs if that's what you're hinting at.
There's this place in the Middle East that was called the capital of spice because they had the most variation of spices from all around the world, like from India, Europe, Russia, like anywhere you can think of. This was the center point of where they collected all that stuff. And because they were the center of trade, they were able to build their community and their city into like a colossal trading boom. So
right, because somebody had to be like the fucking Costco of the world, like somebody had to be the distributor, and other people had to be the not the travelers, the I call them pollinators because they were the ones that like were spreading their shit around. They're like,
They're
hey,
the worker bees.
yeah, basically, because they're like, hey, I got this shit. It's from here. I don't know if you want it or if you've been exposed to it yet, but here, have this. And then they made their own little systems like that. And when it became a bit more local, where they were able to ship their shit in bulk, then that's when that kind of spread, and people were able to spread out more too. Like people basically made like like the shore villages and stuff where it would be easier because
Harbor villages.
yeah, like that.
One thing that I really appreciate about like the history and economics of how the world kind of revolved around trade. We got a lot of information passed around. Do you know this person named Alexander the Great?
Yeah, yes I do.
He was someone that kind of came into power right after Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest rulers of China.
Yeah.
Covered a huge continent and had a reign pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, he was really obsessed with Socrates too, I believe. It was either Socrates or Diogenes during the time. And no, yeah, I think it was Diogenes. And there was this really cool interaction with them. I don't want to butcher the story, but essentially it just ends with like Alexander asking this philosopher like what do you want me to do? I'll do anything to learn from you, to study under you and shit. And then he's just lying on the floor. He's like kind of fucking off, just doing his own thing, like he's like what he practices. And then he just tells them, "All right, get out of my son." That's it. Just get the fuck out of my son. Like, and he's telling that to essentially the ruler of the world, because Alexander was like the most feared fucking dictator ever.
I wouldn't say most feared dictator. He was kind of like
the man was powerful though.
No, yeah, he was
powerful.
But he was the librarian of the world.
For
the simple reason that
he did. Like,
he was
study.
on a quest.
Yeah, that's true.
To find the world's truths.
Yes.
And we'll come back to this later, but he made this library filled with a lot of information from the east, the west, the south, the north, all from the east side of the world. Like, we are in the western hemisphere, which means the Americas, you know, Mexico, Canada, whatever you want to call it. Out in the east had a very complex and rich culture where they had plenty more time to invest with their own languages and talk, and most importantly, write down what was happening.
Yeah.
Whether it be their religious means, their cultural like grievances, everything that made them their own identity, he was collecting. For whatever reason, he wanted to get down to a truth. And that was probably one of his most important ambitions.
So that library... So, because I'm just thinking that whatever library Caesar burnt down is different than the library that he was making, like, is that the same library? No? Okay, cool. Alright, cool. I just wanted to get confused, because I remember Caesar burnt down, like the world's most informed library, because he just got jealous of the fact that they didn't allow him to have it or something, and he was just like, well, if I can't have it, then nobody can, and he burnt down that library, which probably set us back by like a couple thousand years, maybe. That's what like most historians and other people like say too. They're like, bro, we can't even imagine the type of technology that they probably had or studied inside of there. Because they would bring all these scriptures and books and shit, where these monks or whoever would write down word for word and copy the books, and so they can give the books back, and they kept them all inside that place until Caesar came along, and then he was just like,
he got jealous.
Yeah, basically he was just like, y'all, what you got there? And they're like, books. He's like, can I have one? And they're like, nope.
And he's like, well, fuck this then.
Yeah, he yeeted them. You did the books.
That's kind of the sad story between like a good ruler and kind of an imbecile.
Thank you. I was about to say a stupid person.
Like, you can have an incredibly smart person and have like one of the harshest rules, but you can also have someone that's so stupid and will fuck us even harder. than we even care to realize. It's kind of like the same principle that we're dealing with right now. We have a lot of world leaders that on paper, or at least in other people's papers or eyes, looks good, sounds good, but in reality, the step backs that we are taking, the world holding that we have is slowly diminishing.
Yeah.
Our allies are no longer feeling the need to have us as an ally. Enemies are starting to feel like we're not even worthy of being enemies, and it's kind of like we're stuck in a weird position. And whether this will turn out good or not, we've yet to see. But in recent history, it's never looked good. It just makes other places look weak and easy to manipulate. And I don't know, man. It's kind of like scary.
It is pretty scary.
For any kind of empire, no matter how young or old it is.
Yeah, especially like how back then it is, just because that was during a time too where were we still under the assumption that we were the center of the earth? I don't
Back
know.
then?
I forget when we figured out that we weren't like, our basically where our sun is.
Basically, it took people to really sail through the sea, find the other side of the world, and then still go to the other side, travel more sea, and then find the other edge of the world. To realize, hey, this world is round, there's a sun up there, there's all kinds of shit that's kind of weird. What if everything is circles? What if everything is out there? What if those stars are planets or other suns? And then they
got murdered for it.
Yeah.
Because it didn't go along with their religion.
Woo! Okay, those are Inquisition days though. So.
Yeah, no, that was. Yeah, those were so. Yes, we were still under the somewhat assumption because they weren't even knowing of it. They were just like, yeah, these are like the gods and shit, probably.
Yeah. So Romans, they were cute about it. They named their the scientific names of these planets or whatever after their gods. Why? Because it was a nice way to hide the information. Calling Jupiter their god of thunder, aka Zeus to Greece, that was their bread and butter.
Oh, okay.
The reason why that was their main god or main planet or whatever was because of the size.
Oh.
People were figuring out the star placements at that time through constellations, writing maps of the stars, and just, out of pure curiosity, what's up there?
Yeah.
You just looking up into the stars and seeing this vast emptiness and seeing these little speckles of light, like, what are you to think?
Right. It's a pretty heavy thing, too.
In the old world, the only thing you used for light was fire.
Yeah.
And to think that there could be light up there, those must have been some pretty bright fires. So, how would you conceive it? How would you write it down? How would you pass it to your children? How would you teach people?
Imagine if you're colorblind and you see the fires, you're like, bro, that was purple fire.
Woo!
Like imagine, because this was also during
rain.
Yeah, this was like during a time where nobody really knew what anything was. They just could only base it off of whatever biblical story that they were hearing it from, or thought it came from. So it's just like having that fast forward into us. We now just think because just like they had no idea what real medicine was. They had no idea what type of technology could have been made by just like putting a couple pieces of wood and a stone together, making an axe or some shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, imagine them having this sort of position where it's just like, well, I perceive this as that, but because I just don't know what it really is myself, I just want to say it's this because it's what makes the most sense.
And really, this is one of the most basic human natures is
we do it a lot. Even
naming
now.
things. Even if we don't fully understand or comprehend the subject at hand, we love to name things. Math, what do we call it? We always called it a language with numbers. Why? Is because we've
I always
been
called
using
it bullshit.
And that's your interpretation. Guess what? Everybody has their own.
Yeah, I'm not saying it like mine's the only one. I'm just saying like as much as I dislike math, I don't understand why I'm like somewhat okay at it.
In the sense that we all learn math differently. Same thing as English, same thing as science.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot of like comprehension and a lot of, I guess, patience.
That's a good word. Yeah.
Because if you don't have patience to learn or to accept things as they are at face value, then maybe that isn't the right avenue that you're supposed to take. Maybe you should take a different route.
Oh, okay. Well, the route that I'm going to choose to take right now is for us to take a break, and then we're going to come back and probably wrap it up maybe, and see where we're going to go from there. But we're going to see you in a little bit. That was an hour and 15 minutes. Alright. And we are back, and during break, we got a little phone call. Michael's gonna have to wrap it up just a little bit quick because he is a busy man with busy things to do. However, I very much do appreciate you coming on, just being able to talk to me, helping me feel a lot more comfortable with being able to speak and speak openly. It's definitely a huge weight, and I appreciate you so much for that.
Oh yeah, for sure, no problem. Like I said before, I really want to do this again, and this is something that I see you like really excelling in. Plenty of competition, but at the same time, plenty of potential.
I mean, it's only competition if you really look at it that way. I just see them as business opportunities. So to carry back on where we were at before, like it was like Greek shit, weren't we? We were still talking about mythos shit.
Yeah, I think it all stemmed from the conversation of everyone relying on all this wisdom that was given to us,
right?
Just to like feel like a necessity to keep moving on towards the future.
Okay.
And because of the big boon of trade and business and the expansion of all this wisdom, we kind of got left.
We got left with sour
stranded.
Bone. Yeah.
We got left stranded with too much information, and now we're like, well, what's real? What isn't?
You know, I actually agree with that, because it sounds weird to say that we're left with too much information, but it's kind of like giving somebody who went to school for plumbing a welding job. It's like they know about pipes, they know about like systems and stuff, and to read blueprints, but they can't weld for shit, so they can't like do any pipe fitting and stuff. So it's just like back then, it's just like, well, we have all these questions and potential answers and shit, and we have no really like solid foundation of where we can like base this shit off of, other than like getting enough people to just agree with you. Since there wasn't like any real tests or like technology to debunk shit. So when we come back with like this idea that we're essentially just evolving, you know, whether if it's with trade or, you know, societal stuff, ideologies or theologies, it all like can be really hindering almost, but also really a big boost. I'm trying to find the fancy word for boost, but essentially that it gives you a nice kick in the ass.
The nice kick in the ass that we need to move forward.
Yeah.
And
about us, like, what about us in the modern day? Like, what do you think is our kick in the ass? Because right now you have to admit that we're almost in the most advanced form of living that we've ever been. Like, our leisure has never been more high, to the point that we get upset. Like, there are Karens out there that just get so entitled over a fast food worker, like giving them the certain cookie or not, or whatever the case might have been. It's like we grew to a point of these very ancient times, and I believe where we had a lot more respect for one another, to this like consumerism that we just completely enveloped in this really gross idea that because we're able to get something or work for it, then we are entitled to that, unless or as long as we have the ability to like obtain it, like via money or I don't know, blackmail maybe too. It's just like being able to have that shit is like power.
I think it's half and half, because in this world full of consumerism, full of manufacturing, and people, not just people, but entrepreneurs that are investing their time, money, effort into making things convenient, it's allowing us to realize a lot of us do expect things really fast. You know? What if you order a pizza and they don't come within the directed time?
30
Are you
minutes
going to bitch
free.
about it? Are you going to let it go? Are you going to be upset? It's really up to you, you know? And your choice.
Yeah.
Then again, there's the other half where if you feel entitled to whatever compensation that you think you deserve, think about it in a logical conclusion. What is important? What are you getting out of it? And what are they not giving you? That's the final input that a lot of people seem to realize or fail to realize when talking about Karens or people upset at businesses or whatever.
Right.
It's like everyone invests time and money. You deserve to get your input. But if you're going to bitch about something before even paying for it or even putting your own time into it,
right,
chill the fuck out.
Like blaming the cash register, why they're adding like taxes as if it's the poor 16-year-old cash register, or trying to get job experience, getting thrown into this political pool that only that person would be aware of, but they had nobody to really yell or bitch at because they don't have the direct line to like the White House or some shit to like be like, yo, y'all are fucking up. So instead they're just gonna point at the most vulnerable thing that they see, and then that's somebody at the register, or some just unsuspecting older or even young person. Well, they'll just project all this negative emotion towards them because they're so upset with the way that they're living due to another person's due to their perception of this other person's like image over them. It's like this one thing that I heard about this one dude. Totally vague on the details on it, in all honesty, but it was pretty amusing, where it was this guy that was like sitting out in this like really nice area or a park or something, and he was just like, it's such a beautiful day and I can't enjoy it because Trump is our president. And it's just like, well, if Trump is your president and that's all it takes to get you to feel that miserable about yourself, then no offense, but I think you just need to get laid, or just probably not go to that park or something if it makes you think about Trump, because nobody makes you feel any type of way that you don't choose to feel, because nobody's responsible for how they make you feel. It's how you choose to absorb what they do and say, and how that will affect you. It's like, I'm not saying that people that it's okay for people to do like shitty things and then that affects you, and then me going like, oh well, just get over it, like you're choosing to be that way. It was like, nah, people's emotions are valid, and sometimes what people feel are sometimes a lot more important than the justification that this other person could have been in the right or wrong of doing what they did or didn't do.
But that's the thing, though. A lot of people don't take account into the context that revolves around those feelings.
Right.
That guy could have been upset about Trump or whatever reason, but there could have been other underlying reasons for why he felt so angry.
Right.
He could have lost a job, he could have done this, could have done that, whatever. He could have felt that type of way. But in the end, whatever energy that you put forth, whether it be negative or positive,
mm-hmm.
I really believe in the positive aspects of things. If you feel shitty about a certain thing, put a positive influence towards it. If you don't like the president you have right now, do something about it. Go talk to people, start rallies, start bringing people, start informing people, telling them what is going on, why you don't like this person.
Right.
Explain.
Right. Express
instead of
yourself.
just hiding around other people's answers,
right,
and expecting them to have all of them.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough pill to swallow, to tell people like, get over your shit, just do like if you feel so strongly about this, do your research and actually act upon, the situation, not so much of what the situation is causing. Because I feel like that's a really big miss when it comes to like people protesting and advocating for certain shit, because they'll have the message, they'll have the drive, but their execution will be total fucking horseshit, because they'll be like, oh, this and that is bad, so me doing this and this, that and this will justify, or whatever, like whatever comes out of it and shit. So what I think we need to do a lot of the time is just definitely take a step back and remind ourselves, what are we fighting for? What is it that we want? Do we want there to be a police reform? Do we want there to be a new establishment on taxation? Do we want there to be a bigger investment in school, in our school system, to educate on racism, or make racism a bigger part of school education and stuff? So all these things are the things that we can do to help eliminate certain factors inside our current societal living, that is hindering others from living of an optimal life in their conditions. So it's not fair for us to just immediately go, these people are bad because they wear this certain uniform, when it's just more so, well, the system that they come from is bad because it's what they're teaching them to enforce, not so much of what they're independently choosing to do. I'm saying that, like, the people in uniform, whoever like they are, whether it's like cops, firemen, or like nurses or whatever else, like just anybody's able to abuse power, and regardless of what position they're in. There's this really fucking trippy ass, and this is gonna be a really quick side rail, and then we'll like legitimately like wrap it up, because I know you gotta go in a teeny bit, but this one video of this YouTube channel called like Courtney K, I think it was called, but it's basically a YouTube channel ran by drug addicts, and
Wow.
they're all heroin addicts or some shit, because all their legs are completely covered in bruises and needle marks and shit, and you only get those when you miss a vein, like Druggy 101, and they all blame their shit on spider bites, which is another like really common excuse among drug addicts. And there's a huge rumor going on that the person running the page is actually a doctor that's prescribing them shit, because one of them's like dating the doctor, or whatever, and it was like this whole like thing. So it was just like, well, imagine having that type of person over, like, I mean, that's type of power over a community, where you're essentially able to drug up that community to make it do what you want it to do. And in that, we kind of have that in the form of hate, where we're feeling hate into these communities just so they can be spiteful towards one another, but not acknowledge that the real enemy is the one telling them to look at each other rather than look at them like themselves. It's definitely a fucky walking ground, because you can't say one thing and then expect people to understand it right away, because they'll definitely have to either do a double take, or they'll have to like
People
take
tend
it with a
to
grain of salt too.
interpret in different ways.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and then that's the whole thing. It's nobody's responsible for how you feel except for yourself. But again, doesn't justify being a shit person or anything. You can still be a shit person, but like, just because you're a shit person doesn't mean that whatever you did is what made that person cry. Maybe they were just having a bad day, and whatever you did was like the kind of cherry on top that like pushed them a bit. So like, it doesn't mean that that because you were the cherry on top, that makes you like the ultimate shit scumbag in the world, because some of the people before you probably could have done like 80% of the work, and you're the only 20%.
yeah, but every little bit counts, and that's what sucks.
Yeah.
You heard that saying, right?
What do you mean?
Every little bit counts. Kind of like saving money. Every penny is another dollar in the future.
Yeah. How does that correlate to the whole like them?
Because in the mentality of what this guy was probably feeling was every little bit of shit that he had to deal with was starting to add up. And if he doesn't have the positive outlets, the good intentions, or the ability to keep it to himself,
Okay. Yeah.
he will reflect on what's happening in his life. A lot of these people with negative emotions tend to
Project
reflect and project
Yeah.
what is going on in their lives. And I see it all the time.
Yeah, people are spiteful as shit about it.
Spiteful, lie, treat others like pieces of shit. Just what? So they can feel some sort of gratitude or gratification.
Acknowledgement, maybe.
Yeah, or even just plain attention. And it sucks. Because if this is the legacy that they want to envision for themselves, then this is probably the saddest footprints that I'll ever get to see. And I don't want anybody to really fall into that line.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, depending on how people fall in, I feel like they'll have a chance to get out. Like, just because you fall in head first doesn't mean that you're gonna suffocate right away. Just kind of like, twist your head a bit, use your arms to push you back up and stuff like that. So there's definitely hope. I'm not gonna say that it's immediate, like for the conditions that we are, like economically, societally, even like emotionally as a community or anywhere you're at. It's like everybody's in distress. I hate calling it a pandemic because it's only a pandemic because that's what the media brainwashes us into thinking it was, when we have like a less than 1% death rate on shit. And it's definitely annoying to see that the U.S. them, like ourselves are the fucking dumbasses that's just not like taking it too seriously. And I know the way that I'm talking is like a part of that kind of problem, but it's just more so the fact that if people had the respect that, like, well, if it isn't as bad and if this helps, then that actually will help it even faster, because like the sooner like people get their shit together, the sooner we're able to open shit back up. But instead
we're dragging it out.
We're like dragging it out because it's like, well, we're gonna do it, but we're gonna do it our way, and it's just like, well,
like you heard the news, right? We're gonna have a second shutdown potentially.
Yeah, potentially another shutdown. I seen something like that. It was like hinting at it, right?
That's no bueno,
Yeah.
Because we're already really close to the first wave of vaccinations, and you've already seen what happened in Florida.
Yeah.
They got fucked over.
Really bad.
Sweden finally opened its airports and everything. They got fucked hard. Like shit, man. They got hit.
Dude, Greenland is fucking chilling right now. Before you came over, I was looking at some of the statistics, and I love scrolling at the bottom. I don't like seeing or really care about seeing like whoever's on top of the list. I love seeing who's ever at the bottom of the list. Like, imagine how comfortable like Greenland is right now because of how off and excluded it is, because of the shutdowns. They're like, well, we're chilling already, and our healthcare system's like probably some of the best in the world, so we're chilling. Like, everybody's like pretty mild and passive, so I don't like they didn't anticipate anybody having a problem with any regulations that they could have put up. And it speaks, it shows. So yeah. Whatever Greenland's doing, I feel like we should definitely ask questions and see what the fuck is up there. Because there's a couple other ones too for the bottom of the list. But I know one that stuck out to me was definitely Greenland, because they were even curing cases faster than they were coming to. So like,
I mean, curing, I wouldn't say, but helping heal and letting them get over it.
Well, they only say the curing because they closed the case. That's about it. But like, I think it's just kind of the same way how they're trying to identify like COVID deaths, where it's just like, well, if you had a COVID symptom, then you're automatically a COVID death, even if you died of a heart attack. But that's like more of them being a greedy piece of shit, trying to cash in on insurance crap.
Yes and no, because for one, it's good that they're able to put some kind of like name or kind of like death behind COVID, because unfortunately in this era of the world, people care a lot about statistics, and just like you said before, the 1% counts, or does it? Because that 1% multiplies to how many people get severely injured, how many people have minor effects, and how many people are asymptomatic and perfectly fine. We just don't know. Because those numbers, that language actually,
They get fucky.
is so hard to understand.
Yeah, I don't trust anything that the CDC actually posts. In all honesty,
Um,
they were like, there's another actual like dedicated COVID one that I've been using, so that one seems a lot more credible because after the CDC got like called out for that like insurance scandal, it was like completely like what you want to say like for me completely discredited them for this like disease.
the thing is, it discredits
this
their
virus.
reputation for telling the truth in that aspect. But at the same time, what were they doing? Were they wasting that opportunity by
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, instead of telling you the truth, and
That's what they
saying
should
the
have been
numbers are a lot less,
Mm-hmm. So which they should have been doing instead of
and have people not worry about it as much?"
yes, absolutely. Because if people would feel less worried, then that means they would feel less compelled to be rebellious towards shit. Because I think that the only reason why anti-maskers are so like adamant about like the bullshit that the mask thing has is just for the fact that they're so stuck on the whole filter issue that because it's such a low 1% and only certain sets of people are actually at risk of it, they think that at least this is me trying to get into a mind of an anti-vaxxer. I mean anti-vaxxer. Well, might as well be the same thing, right? A anti-masker. Um, that that whatever they have going on for them applies to other people, maybe because they'll throw out these same facts where it's just like, well, just because you're drunk driving or because you're like off of like psychedelics and somebody else isn't doesn't prevent you from getting hurt off of their actions. So it ties in the same way, whereas like just because somebody else isn't wearing a mask but you are doesn't mean that whatever you have on you isn't getting contaminated and you're bringing it into your home as well. So I understand those aspects and why masks are appropriate in like certain settings. Like they bug the fuck out of me. Like I honestly aren't so for them, but is just being respectful and actually understanding, like I said, like the reason they are being put in place and the effects that they have, because they do help, but they're just an inconvenience. But just because they're an inconvenience doesn't mean they're bad.
It's kind of like the oldest balance. You give what you take.
Right.
You give up the free opportunity to
breathe,
not wear a mask. um, or you decide you protect yourself or other people by putting that extra layer of cloth on your face.
So wear your masks, I guess.
Wear your mask, man. Like, it's not that hard. Okay, you get hot, you get huffy puffy. Guess what? You can run straight into your car and breathe your beautiful AC. Or, if you're not that privileged, start running home, go home, climb a tree, do something, get some air.
Just like your Slumdog Millionaire, just run to this train station,
Yeah.
get the fuck out of there. Yeah,
feel the wind of the train.
I don't know. Like I say, to each their own. I'm not gonna tell somebody that it's not hard to do because it's the same as because when I hear somebody say that, I literally just hear them saying the same thing, like, oh, just follow the law, just follow the law, when it's like, well, Brendan Taylor was asleep, so how does that really relate to her in her situation, right? So it's like, well, just because it's easy doesn't take away, like, again, it's like still not an inconvenience. So that's why I'm just saying, like, well, everybody's like able to do whatever the fuck that they want to do. I personally just think that people should be more kind to others when out in public, and the masks are like a factor and shit. But in the end, we like not to be all like nihilist about it, but we are gonna die in the end. It doesn't mean that we have to perpetuate that into our current lives, though. So we just have to take it with a grain of salt that this thing's gonna pass by. We just have to. Oh Jesus! Man, or she's probably smelled somebody. All right, well, I think that's a good call. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate having you here, and like get home safe. Obviously, thank you for this. Is there any final words? I know you're not like big on social media, so like no one's gonna like reach out to you or anything, but you got like some nice wisdom for us.
Sure. Um, like always, it's been a pleasure. I really want to spend this time with you, just talk to you about things that's going on.
Appreciate that.
Whether it be in my life, in the world that we live in.
When we drop our bodies.
Yep. And that's an eternal truth that everyone has to deal with. You know?
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I want to say is everybody has to live their life. Live it the way you want, but don't interrupt others.
Right. Don't interrupt others' path in life.
Yeah. Because as soon as you start interrupting what they want or what they are trying to envision for themselves, it kind of just inks up your own life in a negative way.
Well, thank you so much, and that's all.
I need you.
Yeah.
Alright, well,